What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J. I hope everyone is doing extremely well. Just give me 1 second. All right, audio sounds pretty the audio sounds pretty crystal clear on my end. So what is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What is going on? I hope everyone is doing extremely well. I am most certainly doing well today. We are back on another Mets Talk live stream, baseball talk live stream, whatever you really want to call it at this rate. It says Mets Talk, but we talk all baseball if you guys really want to. But yeah, what's going on, everyone? I hope everyone is doing extremely well. It's been about just shy of 2 weeks since we did our last stream. A lot has happened since we were streaming last. However, I did make dozens of videos the past 2 weeks, so obviously I am definitely up to date with all of the Mets news. Everything from Justin Verlander, Kodai Senga, Brandon Nimmo, and all of that great stuff there. So yeah, definitely check out those videos. I uploaded probably 5 or 6 videos since our last stream. So definitely just click on the channel button, Mets Talk with Hayden, and definitely watch those videos. Let me know your thoughts, all that great stuff. But yeah, in today's video, we are going to be going over, some Mets news and, of course, little Q&A style stream, all of your guys' comments, questions, concerns, all of that great stuff. So before we get started into all of that, please, everyone, make sure to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications. If you guys have any questions, any comments, anything related to the New York Mets, or just baseball overall, drop it below, like, comment, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so you never miss a stream or video. So yeah, definitely all of that great stuff. And like I said, in today's stream, we are going to just be kind of going over, baseball news, Mets news, anything you guys want, comment it below. It could be a statement, it could be a question, all of that great stuff. So yeah, let's stop wasting any more time and let's get into some of your guys' comments, questions, concerns, for the next 45 minutes to maybe an hour or so, I'd say. So, yeah, let's dive into it. What is going on, everyone? Baseball media, what's happening, bro? Gio, Alex, Trey, Ibindos, Mark's here, Seth, Peter, Cal says, hey, Hayden, what's up? Mets are having an awesome offseason so far. Indeed, they are. They are having a phenomenal offseason. Definitely, there is some more work to do. The Mets are not done yet. And, yeah, definitely a lot more to do. Christopher, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in. Michael, what's going on? Bay Area Sports Report. Jay, what's going on, bro? He says, Correa press conference is tomorrow. Let's freaking go. Absolutely, man. I could tell you are a Giants fan, so kudos to you on that signing. That was definitely a big move for the San Francisco Giants. We'll definitely see how that move goes for them, but definitely if you're a Giants fan, optimistic about that. Trey, what's going on? Trey with our first big comment of the day saying, finally, we have an owner who cares about us. As a Mets fan, it is a privilege to have Mr. Cohen own the New York Metropolitans. Let's go, Mets. My blood is orange and blue to my last breath. Absolutely, man. Let's freaking go Mets. Kobe, Karen, what's going on? Kobe with a good question saying, Drury after having a good bounce back season or save the $13 million and trust Mark Vientos? Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good question. I mean, seemingly right now it comes to, are you going to want to establish that much trust in Mark Vientos? We saw a small sample size in Mark Vientos last season, and, it was kind of what we expected. He definitely has been much better with the chase rate, swinging at, balls outside the strike zone. So his chase rate has been getting better with time. When it comes to it, right now, Vientos, like I say with all prospects, he's not proven. You're asking, do you want an MLB proven player or a prospect who has only really played, what, a week's worth of games. Regardless of that, I probably would say Drury in regards to the other. I'm assuming you're meaning I'm assuming, Kobe, you're talking about platooning a DH role. And I would probably say Drury, regardless of, Vientos being a prospect in his performance. It's just Drury is more versatile. So, you could put him in a DH role. You could put him in the field, third base, whatever. Where, more so Vientos, I guess, would just mean more of that DH, where I just feel Drury offers a little bit more. He's mid-30s, whatever, so that's fair prime age. But I think right now I can care less about the money, the $13 million AAV. That's really not a big concern, I would say, for the Mets is the $13 million. But I would really have to say Drury as of now. Jose, what's going on? He says, what's up, Hayden? We need a bat. Absolutely, man. Yeah, the Mets are definitely going to need some more offensive contributors very soon. Obviously, the market. How about that? All the big top tier free agents are gone already, and it's not even January 1st. It's not even 2023. And I mean, all the really big guys are off the market. I mean, all the shortstops and Correa, Swanson, Turner, Bogarts, all gone. I mean, really, everyone's gone. A lot of the big pitchers and DeGrom, Rodon, everyone is really off the market. So that is just really crazy to think that, it's not even January 1st. And we're talking about guys like you said, AJ Pollock and Michael Conforto being the best free agents on the market. Adam Duvall. I mean, that's just crazy to say. But, it's going to be interesting. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of trades going on, all of that great stuff. So, I mean, it's not over yet. Alex says, should the New York Mets bring back Michael Conforto? Yeah, that's a question that I've probably heard 1,000 times so far in the last couple weeks. Yeah, I mean, right now, Michael Conforto to the Mets, it seems like an interesting possibility. I think a lot of people questioned Michael Conforto coming back when Nimmo was kind of still of question. If you were going to lose Nimmo, would you want to bring back Conforto and put Marte in center? Obviously, that's no longer a concern for the New York Mets, as they have their outfield kind of set with Marte, with Canna in left, Nimmo in center, and Marte in right for the next year. That is definitely set. I think what it's really going to come down to is would you put Conforto to split platoon? And then obviously Conforto's, a right fielder. Then what do you do with Marte? Do you put Marte in left and then you bench Canna? So, I mean, it really comes down to, you have two things with Conforto. You could platoon him as a DH. Obviously, that left-handed bat could be nice. And then maybe you put him in right field. You put Marte in right, which isn't the best thing to think of. And then you put Canna as a fourth outfielder / DH. Probably doesn't sound like the best thing when you think about it, but I mean, that's really the most realistic thing that the Mets would have to do if you bring back Conforto. Good news is I did see on Twitter a couple days ago that they were saying that Conforto was willing to get a small term deal. Obviously, knowing being a Boras guy, a lot of Mets fans a couple, months ago and last year at this time, and Conforto and Boras were stating that he wants this mega deal, that he's going to want this 5, 6, 7 deal, $200 million, somewhere around that. And, with a guy who hasn't played in a year, 2021 was not good. It's really hard to give Conforto the contract that he ideally wanted. I mean, you were obviously taking a big risk there. And, I mean, I think the Mets knew it. I think Boras knew it. But, Scott Boras, Michael Conforto, he's going to get that deal. And realistically, I think right now, Conforto being willing to take maybe a 2-year deal, maybe a 3-year deal, maybe the Mets would be a little bit more willing. They would take, I don't really want to call it a risk, but be willing to give Conforto the trust to earn his confidence back and kind of shut up everyone that kind of doubted him. And I mean, look at it, everyone, Jeff McNeil, I mean, these are, two completely different hitters. So I don't want to compare the two, but look at Jeff McNeil. He had a horrible 2021 season. I mean, yeah, it was pretty bad 2021 season. I mean, he had 2019, he had 2020, phenomenal. 2021, his third season, fourth season, whatever you want to say, was not good. And people were kind of like 75-25 with McNeil. I'd say majority of Mets fans knew McNeil was going to come back because he was just a great hitter. And then there were maybe a quarter, 30% of Mets fans who were saying, oh, he's done. He's fried. No more. And look what happened. He blew out in 2022, McNeil. All-star, batting champion, silver slugger, phenomenal. Got rid of that launch angle swing, bat-to-ball contact, OPS, everything above average. And everyone shut up. Everyone shut up about McNeil. So, I mean, could this be Conforto's opportunity? Yeah, they're two different hitters, so I don't want to kind of say that. I mean, I can care less. They're both lefties. You know, McNeil's more contact approach, where Conforto is, I guess, more kind of like, you know, different. Conforto's a different hitter. I mean, I don't really need to explain why. He's clearly a different hitter. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't have any objections. I mean, if you could try and bring back Conforto on this 2-year, I mean, we're talking the short-term cheap deal. Like I said, the qualifying offer would be the best thing for Conforto. You sign him for, a 1-year deal. Maybe this 1-year deal, $18 million. I think that could be realistic. He has a good season. I'm not talking, a crazy MVP season, but a good season, 275 average, over 800 OPS, could give me 20 home runs, 75 RBIs. Okay, then maybe you could be willing to give more Conforto, and maybe you'd be willing to give Conforto a better contract, and maybe Conforto having more trust in the organization. So I mean, yeah, we're gonna honestly have to wait and see. It's a possibility. I mean, I could see Conforto. I mean, right now he's probably the biggest free agent on the market right now. I mean, crazy to say that is in January, before January, that Michael Conforto is practically the biggest guy in the market right now in terms of free agents. You have a couple other guys like Seth in the comment section is asking, like AJ Pollock. Should the Mets sign AJ Pollock? He's another name that I've heard. Definitely could be an interesting pick for the Mets. DH platoon type character. You could put him in the outfield. Let's look at AJ Pollock. I know he was in Chicago with the White Sox last season. He was with the Dodgers prior. He's 35 years old, so nice little veteran piece there. He could be a decent platoon for a DH. He's a righty, so him and Vogelbach split time. Not horrible. I mean, his stats last season weren't too great. 14 homers, 56 ribbies. Low average of 245, low OBP at 292. Low OPS of 681, so a little worried about that. He did finish off the season relatively strong, but those aren't ideal numbers right there. I mean, I personally don't really see the Mets going after Pollock. Kobe says the Mets need to sign another power bat that could platoon time at DH. No, I absolutely agree with you. Right now, Vogelbach is your DH. And I mean, I think a lot of Mets fans would agree with me, as I do not trust Vogelbach as DH by itself. I would like the Mets to have a platoon at the DH role. Who could that be? Could that be someone internally? Could that be someone from another organization, free agent? We'll see. We know a couple months ago, the Mets said that they were going to handle the DH situation internally. Whether that would have been Vientos, Alvarez, and Beatty, and I've expressed my I kind of expressed my concern in regards to that. I don't think that would be the best idea, but if that's the route the Mets are going to take, then I mean that's the route the Mets are going to take. But I agree with you. I mean, right now, I mean you look at this free agent market, and I mean right now, like I said, I know I said it, I'm going to say it again. It's mind-boggling that there is really not much left. I mean, the fact is, I expected a lot. I honestly expected guys like Correa and Turner to sign in February. I mean, we've seen how, the market works, maybe with the CBA last year, and how things are more different financially and fiscally with MLB. Maybe teams are willing to spend more, maybe free agents and, their managers and owners and representatives are just willing to go early. I really don't know. But yeah, definitely an interesting thing from MLB. But yeah, I mean, looking at some of the best free agents right now, I mean, crazy enough to say, there's not a lot in terms of talent. I mean, you have some great guys like Jurickson, Profar. In terms of the outfield, that's really where it is. And DH, outfield and DH is really where a lot of your big talent is. You have a couple of relievers on the market, definitely. Yeah, let's take a look-see and see really who's left. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of like alternate players. Like, you look at the catcher position, it's a lot of like backups. You have guys like Gene Segura, Jonathan VR, a lot of bench players left. Elvis Andrews, Jose Iglesias, Brandon Drury, Evan Longoria. I heard Evan Longoria maybe could go to like the Rays or something. That could be a fair little reunion there. But it's really your outfielders that are left. I mean, obviously, Adam Duvall, AJ Pollock, David Peralta, Robbie Grossman, Jurickson Profar, Tommy Pham, Corey Dickerson, Raimel Tapia, Rafael Ortega, Adam Engel, Kevin Pillar, Michael Conforto, Andrew McCutchen, Trey Mancini, Nelson Cruz, Luke Voigt. Andrew McCutchen and Pirates, I heard a little rumor that maybe they could have some sort of reunion, and I think that could be good for the Pirates for them to bring back Andrew McCutchen. But yeah, I mean, Kobe, overall, I guess getting back to your question is I absolutely agree with you. The Mets do need to sign another power bat to split time at DH. I absolutely agree with you. Trey says, what area of concern should the Mets focus their offseason on? I mean, really, they got it. I mean, a month ago, their concern probably would have been that rotation, considering, guys like DeGrom left and Bassett, Walker. But yeah, right now, I mean, they kind of got that under control, which was expected. So I would say right now it's probably that DH/power, and I guess finish up that bullpen. I mean, right now the bullpen looks pretty solid. I think, making, maybe one or two more moves could be nice. Keep in mind the Mets bullpen is going to look much different compared to last season. So yeah, I mean, we're going to have to just kind of wait and see how things go there, but it's going to be interesting. Most certainly is. Alvaro says, so Hayden, can the Mets be better this season? Last season was disappointing, but at the same time, the Mets overachieved. Do you agree? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, keep in mind, before going into the season, a lot of Mets fans, including myself, only projected this team to get 95 wins, maybe 90 wins, and be, a wild card second place team. I mean, yeah, I don't care as a tie, but the Mets did overachieve. The fact is, no one projected the Mets to have the second best record in their history in 2022. No one expected that, including myself. They overachieved, absolutely. And this was without having DeGrom healthy, without having Scherzer, without having two of those guys healthy for the full season. I mean, you guys like Peterson come in, you guys like McGill, a lot of bullpen openers do their job. A lot of guys overachieved, absolutely. And why is that? McNeil went back to himself. Alonso had a phenomenal season. Lindor looked much better. Guys like Escobar showed up in September. You had guys like Marte, Canna. I mean, I don't need to go over this Mets lineup. They were phenomenal. And now you look at it this upcoming season, I think the Mets do have a better rotation this year than last year. I mean, you have Verlander and Scherzer, okay. DeGrom versus, comparing DeGrom to Verlander is interesting. I'm not even going to compare their performance. I'm just going to compare being on the field. I mean, that's really what we're at with DeGrom right now. I mean, we spoke about it the last couple streams. With DeGrom, it's just getting on the field. Like I said, with DeGrom going to the Rangers, I could easily see DeGrom going down with the Texas Rangers, making 25 starts, 30 starts, and winning the AL Cy Young. Or I could see him pitching 5 starts, perfect, giving up 1 run in all those, and then he's sidelined for 2 months because of something. I could easily see both of those happening. With DeGrom, I said it 1,000 times. Next year at this time, we'll have more of an answer on how things are going to work out with him. But right now, so DeGrom versus Verlander, that's that. Scherzer's still there. You look at that number 3 spot, kind of still to be determined. Obviously, I think a lot of people would take Senga over Bassett. We'll see. It's kind of 50-50, kind of people. With Senga, I think it really just comes down to he pitched in the MPB. It's a different league than the MLB. Can he get adjusted to it? Some people were kind of saying he's a 2-pitch pitcher. The fourth ball is going to be interesting. I do disagree with the statement that he is a 2-pitch pitcher. I believe he does have more to develop. I think it's not so much as a 2-pitch pitcher. It's just going to be, can the pitches like the fork ball and the slider work how it did in the MPB? Can it work in the MLB for him? We're going to have to see how that works for him there. So, Senga, Bassett, that's one. Obviously, actually, hold on. I do want to pull up one thing. Obviously, you have Quintana versus Taijuan Walker. Looking at Quintana compared to Walker last season, much better. You still have Carrasco in that spot. Carrasco is probably going to be the 5th guy. You still have Peterson, McGill, 6, 7. So, the rotation, in my opinion, is much better this upcoming season than last year. Bullpen is much better. I agree. I mean, guys like David Robertson, you're going to need Brooks Riley, whatever, Alicia Hernandez. A lot of your bullpen is, younger AAA guys that are not really commonly known, like Bryce, Montez de Oca. We saw him a little bit last year. Youngling, Zach Green, Danny Reyes. So we'll see. I definitely think, the Mets could go after, a guy like Andrew Chafin, or definitely, make some moves when it comes to the bullpen. Because right now, we've seen how important the Mets bullpen is. And the Mets bullpen was pretty good in the second half last year. They definitely had their fair share of struggles. A lot of the Mets bullpen is different. I would like the Mets to bring back Ottavino. I think he could be one guy. Possible bullpen of, Diaz, Robertson, Drew Smith could, figure out the long ball situation and hard contact. He could be good. Brooks Raley, Alicia Hernandez. You bring back Adam Ottavino. It's not a horrible bullpen. Maybe a guy like Andrew Chafin could be a decent guy. He's a decent arm. We're going to have to see how things go. But overall, can the Mets be better than, this season? Absolutely. I really do think this is a team that can be much better than what they were. Like I said, last Mets season was an interesting team. No one really suffered injuries besides, I guess DeGrom and Scherzer. And they managed to win 101 games. So, even if, it's 102 games better, sure. Yeah. But absolutely, they overachieved last year. So I think, with how they are now, I think this would be a better Mets team than last season. What area of concern should the Mets focus their offseason on? I think someone asked us before, Matthew, but I guess just to keep it brief, I'd probably say something around the lines of bullpen and a nice little power bat. I think those are probably going to be the two moves that the Mets are really going to have to kind of just focus on. I guess we're just going to have to see how things go there. Trey, also, should the Mets stay internal at DH? I would advise against it. I really would. I get it. Alvarez has a nice pop. Vientos has a nice pop. Beatty, we'll see how things go there. Obviously, he'll probably be more of a, actual full-around position player, third base. Not saying Alvarez wouldn't, but, he's known for his power, so that's obviously a good DH role. Right now, I really would advise against it. I really would. Michael says counting down the days till opening day. Absolutely, man. You and me both. Cal says, should David Peterson and Tyler McGill be in the rotation? Yeah, right now when it comes to both of those guys, I think right now, unless you get rid of Carrasco via trade, I don't think they would be in the rotation. Obviously, I don't anticipate the Mets relying on a six-arm rotation. This team isn't the Rays or the Athletics. You have the talent. Why waste? Why give them an extra day rest? I get it. You have guys like Verlander, Scherzer who are old, but talk about it in July, August if it becomes a concern in terms of fatigueness. But right now, I think if there were to be a case, it's complex because I like Peterson because he'd be a lefty. Obviously, the Mets already fixed, some sort of remedy for the left-handed shortage in Jose Quintana. So he's your lefty of the rotation. And I've always established on this channel that I value having a lefty in the rotation. I've established that. My issue with putting Peterson in the bullpen is the command and the walks. And obviously, being in the bullpen, there's less room for error when it comes to walks. So right now, it wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be horrible if Peterson became a long reliever, this 2-3 inning guy, or became an opener, started games and passed the ball to someone else. If, there's a doubleheader or rain delay or whatever. I think, like I said, the Mets should definitely take a Brewers approach like they did with Corbin Burns and Freddie Peralta in getting those guys' arms fixed, sort them out, get them adjusted to get their innings pitched up, and then release them into the rotation, when guys like Verlander and Scherzer, kind of retire in a year or two from now, or at least from the Mets, like I said, we'll see how things go there. McGill, his numbers are not really great in the bullpen. We saw it a little bit last year. Take with a grain of salt. He didn't really pitch much at all last season. But McGill, you saw him opening day. He came up. Keep in mind, this was still a Nationals team that had fair talent in the lineup with Soto, Bell, Cruz. So, he got the job done in May and April. Definitely carried, this rotation without DeGrom. We'll see how things go there. Timothy, what's going on? He says, hey, Hayden, should Timothy with our trade guy says, hey, Hayden, should the Mets trade James McCann, Mark Vientos, and prospects Ronnie Mauricio, Matt Allen, Joel Diaz, and Javier Tencio? I don't know if I said that right. To the Tigers for Austin Meadows. They need a DH in the worst way. I would not take Austin Meadows for it. That'd be way too much for Austin Meadows. I know Austin Meadows is in, playing with the Tigers. I know Comerica's kind of, a pain in the ass, a ballpark to hit in. But considering Meadows has struggled big time last season, he wasn't really healthy, didn't play the full season, I'd be a little worried right now. You'd be taking a huge risk there. Would Meadows be back to his old Tampa Bay Rays self? I'd be too skeptical. If it's Meadows, I would be really worried to give Meadows that. Connor says Senga is the perfect fit for the payroll situation. Big upside, number 3, like Bassett was. No, absolutely. And I mean, financially, definitely works out. I mean, the fact is he's 5 years, only getting $15 million a year. That's pretty darn good. You're saving money. Obviously, look what Taijuan Walker got for the Phillies. I mean, I was shocked that he got that much. I was expecting him to get this 2-year deal, 15, 20 million. I didn't expect him to get that long-term deal. We'll talk about it because I see there's a comment from a Phillies perspective. But yeah, definitely Senga is definitely going to be a good piece for this New York Mets team. I'm definitely fond of it. It's going to be unique. I will say the Mets definitely haven't really the Wilpons didn't really do much when it came to the Mets scouting and development out in Asia. When it came to Japan and Korea, the NPB and the KBO, the Mets, the past decades, with the Wilpons, they didn't really do much. And that is one thing that I do appreciate Steve Cohen and Billy Epler doing is this is a team that now has a front office that is cognizant with, foreign scouts, whether that's, in Latin America, in Asia. And I think that's something that I definitely think the Mets are going to be good with. I know, Shohei Ohtani, that's a story for another day, but definitely Kodai Senga. I did a video about him. I recommend you guys watch it. He is going to be a nice guy. Whether he doesn't, have a phenomenal breakout season this year, I definitely think he has a good future. I really do. And yeah, obviously, like I said, Connor, it's financially, it's much better than Bassett. Obviously, Chris Bassett signing with the Toronto Blue Jays. Good deal for him. Like I said, Bassett, I give him props. I think he definitely, a lot of people gave Bassett unnecessary disliking and hate. And I get it with the Braves and the wild card. Okay, I get it. But for the whole season, he came out there. He made 30 starts. Practically he was out there every 5 days pitching. Give him props for that. His performance wasn't horrible. I mean, he was, a sub-3 ERA type guy. The innings were in favor. He came out there. So yeah, I mean, like I said, but right now I think it is a better move. I will say that. Steven, what's going on? He says, did we sign AJ Pollock? I do not think so. Let's take a look-see. Let's take a look-see on Twitter. I don't believe we signed AJ Pollock unless it just broke right now. Let's check Twitter. I don't think, is he trending? I don't think so. I do not think we signed AJ Pollock. I haven't seen anything. So, no. The Mets did not sign AJ Pollock, but guess not. I'll keep an eye out. Definitely keep Twitter up. Maybe some news will break on the channel. I don't really think we've ever been live for breaking news, so maybe today will be the first. Michael says, favorite offseason move? For the Mets, I think probably bringing back Nimmo was probably my favorite. Definitely bring back Nimmo. Like I said in my video, definitely check that out. With Nimmo, I think bringing him back, financially aside, I think it was definitely good. I do understand people's worries with 8 years, $162 million. He's 30 years old. Contract's going to expire at 38. Obviously, Nimmo won't be playing center field when he's 36, 37. He'll probably be putting left. And I get the concern. He's injury-prone guy. His neck, his hand, the collapsed lung. He's dealt with his fair share of injuries. I get it. Now that he's 30, he's not going to be able to shake these off as much as he was in the past. I get it. But if the Mets lost Nimmo, it really would have taken 2 steps backwards. Because right now, people are concerned with the Mets' power right now. They're saying we need a DH. We need another DH. I don't trust Vogelback as the DH. You need a platoon the DH role. You need another big bat. That's what everyone's saying right now. Imagine you lost Nimmo. You'd be saying, oh, we need another contact approach guy. We need another table setter. Oh, my God, we lost our leadoff guy. And you look at the other center field market. There was guys like Kevin Kiermaier, great defensively, but he isn't going to do anything offensively. He's going to hit 225, 230 for you, if anything. So you lose, if the Mets were to lose Nimmo, the center field market wasn't very talented in terms of offensive production. So you would have lost that contact table setter approach, which the Mets need. And by bringing back Nimmo, you keep that lineup. Keep that. Like I said, with Nimmo, him being a leadoff guy, that's a topic for another day. But you keep that one or, that first or second leadoff guy in the lineup. You keep his high on-base percentage, great contact approach, walks. Speed, I would like him to start stealing a little bit more. I think that is something that maybe he could do a little bit more next season. I mean, I'm not saying he has to steal 40 bags, but give me at least 20. I think the Mets definitely could benefit off that. I've said that a lot the last couple, months on this channel. But yeah, I would say Nimmo is probably my favorite. In terms of like at a market, maybe Verlander, I'd probably have to say. Baseball's Mayor, what's going on? Phillies, Electric Voltage, what's going on, bud? He says, thoughts on the Phillies offseason so far? Yeah, I know you guys obviously signed Taijuan Walker. I know that was one move. I know you guys signed Trey Turner. Let me see if there's any other actual free agents that you guys signed. I think it's just those two, I believe, to my knowledge. Matt Stram, okay, cool, I guess. Okay, yeah, in terms of like the major contracts, yeah, I mean, I guess the big three is Trey Turner, Taijuan Walker, and Matt Stram. Otherwise, a lot of, minor league deals and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, breaking it down, obviously the Trey Turner contract, signing Trey Turner for the Phillies, I think is definitely a big move for the Phillies. Right now, I think it comes to the point where obviously they moved on from Gene Segura. Maybe you take Bryson Stott, your shortstop, your young shortstop prospect, you put him at second and you put an actual developed MLB ready, proven shortstop at that position. Trey Turner, I mean, he offers a lot for this Phillies lineup. A table setter, a leadoff guy. That's great. Contact approach. That's great. Speed. That's great. Great defense. Good defense. Something that the Phillies lacked big time last season, the last couple seasons. Power. Not so much power, but the contact approach. So having a table setter, a guy who's going to get on base. Last season and last offseason, especially in the World Series for the Phillies, they had a lot of home runs from Harper, from Castellanos, from Schwarber. But how many of those home runs were solo shots? A lot of them. Bringing in Turner, you have a table setter, so maybe, instead of those solo shots, they're 2-run shots. 2 runs is better than 1. So I think it was a good move for the Phillies. I really do. 11 years, maybe a little bit concerning. He's going to be 30, I believe, 20. I think how old is Trey Turner? Trey Turner is 29. So, I mean, maybe it wasn't the best to give him 11 years, but I mean, I don't know if you want to, have a shortstop at, 39 years old playing there, but we'll see how that goes for the Phillies down the line. Like I said, I think the Phillies are kind of just looking at it for the next 3, 4, 5 years where, he's going to be in his actual prime. Definitely a good move for the Phillies. I'll give them that. Taijuan Walker, I think that was a solid signing. I really do. Definitely an overpay. I mean, let's see how much Walker was making or is going to make with the Phillies. Taijuan Walker. Let's look at his contract with the Phillies. Philadelphia Cheesesteaks. Yeah, 7. Oh, I don't want the Mets. I want the Phillies. 4 years, $72 million. $18 million a year. Yeah, it's a little bit. A little bit of much. 4 years, $72 million. I mean, if I was honestly expecting him to get this 2-year, maybe AAV's 15 million or so. I wasn't expecting to get 4 years. A little bit of an overpay. I do worry about that, but I mean, like I said, with Taijuan Walker, we've seen it in the past. With a lot of it is, the last 2 seasons he's been on the mound for the Mets, but in the second half he blew it. Past couple seasons, going back when he was with Toronto and Seattle, he definitely did not get much playing time. So I think that is a little bit of the worry, I guess, when it comes to it. So, I mean, yeah, we're just going to have to see, honestly, how things go. For him, obviously, Matt Stram, nothing too crazy. Nice little bullpen arm. Philly's bullpen is actually pretty solid now. We know that they definitely, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, their bullpen was pretty bad. I think they kind of fixed that issue for the most part. Definitely not 100% cured, but, much better than where it was a couple seasons ago. So, yeah, I mean, the NL East is really going to be exciting. I'll give you that. Taking a look-see at the NL East, I mean, right now, Phillies, Mets, and Braves. I mean, right now, the Mets and Phillies have made a lot of moves. Kind of the Braves are, a lot of Braves fans are upset right now, and I don't blame them. That the Braves have not really made much moves yet. I mean, you lost Swanson. The bullpen is fine for the Braves. The rotation is decently fine. Maybe one more arm could be good. But yeah, I know Braves fans are not very happy right now. And I don't blame them. They didn't really sign any of the big top tier free agents. Necessarily do they? I think they are. I think they are a very talented team. I don't, disagree with it. I think they are a talented team. They have a lot of young depth. Taking a look-see at this Atlanta Braves roster right now, taking a little look-see around for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, right now, Travis d'Arnaud, Sean Murphy. Okay, they got Sean Murphy. I did forget about that. So, I mean, having, Travis d'Arnaud, Sean Murphy, that's a good dish behind the plate. An infield of Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley. But then at shortstop, who's going to be your shortstop? Vaughn Grisham? That's a downgrade. Big time. That's a downgrade. Go to the outfield, Acuna, Harris, Rosario, DH, you have Ozuna. It's not horrible. Like I said, I think that's pretty similar to what it was last year. It's just you lost shortstop. And, I think the Braves have proved themselves that they're great when it comes to their young guys getting called up. Something that a lot of teams can't do is teams like the Dodgers and the Braves, they're calling up, guys like Michael Harris, and, Vaughn Grisham, and they're homering in their first game. Little stuff like that is absolutely crazy. Where are you? Trey says defense at catcher will be the difference in winning and losing this year with the new rules about not being able to throw over. Yeah, the new rules are definitely going to be interesting for the 2023 season. Obviously, like pickoffs and bigger bases, little stuff like that. So that'll be neat. Who is better, Bellinger or Yelich? I think I've been asked this before, but I'll answer it again. Right now, probably Bellinger. Probably considering, I was going to say because he has more of a lineup, but Cody Bellinger is a Chicago Cub, so both of those guys will be in the same division facing off each other. Bellinger has just been a completely different player, collapsed. I really don't know what happened with him. 2020 came. It's a cruddy year. Everyone kind of took it with a grain of salt. 2021, 2022, just low average hitter, hasn't really been at all his MVP self like he was in 17, 18, and 19. That long swing, he had surgery on his elbow. He's just been a completely off hitter. And the Dodgers were coming to the point where they were just throwing him at first or benching him. And I think Mookie Betts definitely took over that right field role 100%. But yeah, I mean, maybe, that could be a case. Mookie Betts taking over right field, him kind of being that MVP caliber player for them now. And Yelich also. Yelich is kind of in a similar case. 2020 wasn't himself, took with a grain of salt. I mean, Yellinger, with Yelich, the OBP is still there. He's still getting on base to a good extent. I think it's just, his power's gone down. Defensively, he isn't as great. So also, once again, I don't know what's going to go on with those two guys. I don't know what is going to go on. I think with both of these, I think with Yelich, I think it's going to come to the point with Christian Yelich this is going to be the make or break for him. 2023, it's going to be make or break, and Brewers are in a tough spot right now. I mean, they have great pitching, but offensively, this is a team that lacks the offensive production. And I think the Brewers, with Christian Yelich, I think it's going to make or break for him. Bellinger, he's with the new team, the Chicago Cubs, so maybe we'll see he could, fare a little bit better there. I mean, Cubs are definitely an interesting team, for itself. Trying to spend money. They're in an interesting spot. So we'll see how things go there. I mean, he'll be in a decent outfield, of who it would be Seiya Suzuki. Who else would be in the outfield for the Cubs? Kind of, Cubs are an interesting spot. I don't really think anyone hates the Cubs unless you're an NL Central fan. I mean, looking at the depth chart, okay, not horrible. I mean, their outfield consisting of maybe Ian Happ in left, Cody Bellinger, Christopher Morel in center, Seiya Suzuki in right. That's not horrible. I mean, Bellinger is probably going to be – I mean, Bellinger can consist of first base, center, right, and a DH. So I guess, the Cubs luck out bringing in Bellinger, versatile player. You could put him, like I said, center, right, first base, DH. So he could be a good role. Will Bellinger, like I said, I think he's also in a similar situation to Yelich. It's going to be make or break 2023. Is he going to be back to his MVP self? I hope so. Just as a baseball fan, but I guess the goal for him is at least to get to 260 average, 70, 75, 800 OPS. It's decently the goal for him at this rate. Stoney, what's going on? He says, can we be potential of Devers? Yeah, Devers has been a name that's been discussed. Although I guess it's going to be the Mets going to be willing to give up the prospects, and I don't think they are. Cal says, what's your thoughts on the Nimmo contract? Yeah, like I said, 8 years, $162 million. You're taking a risk. You definitely are. But I think when it comes to homegrown talent and just Nimmo being a great character, great clubhouse guy, I think you have to take risks like that. I really do. I think you really do have to take risks when it comes to homegrown guys, trying to preserve this Mets culture. That's what you got to do. And like I said, with the Mets, just focus it for the next 2-3 years and, keep focus it by every 3 years. It's 8 years, so 3, 6, and 7, 8, you focus on 2. Focus it for the next 3 years. See how things go. Appreciate it, man. Kobe says, which team is having the best offseason and which team is having the worst? In terms of the best, so Yankees, they re-signed Judge, got in Rodon. The Mets obviously had a good one. Phillies are having a pretty good one. Who the Padres signed so far? Padres signed Bogarts, Lugo. The Astros signed. Astros signed anyone? I know they signed Brantley. Let me look at the big MLB free agents. Like I completely forgot where half of these guys signed. I mean, the Rangers got DeGrom. That's really it. Cubs got Bellinger, Dansby Swanson. Okay, so let's go by team. So Yankees, they got Rodon. They re-signed Judge. They re-signed Rizzo. Not horrible. The Rangers really just got DeGrom. The Mets got Verlander, Robertson, Senga. They obviously re-signed both Edwin Diaz and Brandon Nimmo. The Dodgers brought back Clayton Kershaw. Definitely lost, guys like Trey Turner. It's definitely a bite for them, but good to keep their veteran presence. Rangers also got Andrew Heaney. Okay. Astros re-signed Michael Brantley. They signed Jose Abreu. White Sox, Cardinals really just got Wilson Contreras. That's a good move for them. Like I said, Phillies, Trey Turner, Taijuan Walker. Giants, Carlos Correa. Red Sox are definitely not having a good offseason, that's for sure. Orioles, Adam Frazier. It's fair. Being completely honest, Blue Jays signed Chris Bassett. In terms of the best, I'm looking at a thing where all this free agents signed. I'd probably say, bias aside, I'd probably say, I guess just spitting out 3, I'd probably say Mets. I mean, I think you have to say Yankees because, you brought in a pitcher. You brought back Judge and Rizzo. So I'd say Mets, Yankees, I guess Phillies, Padres. I guess those are kind of 4 teams right there. Paul, what's going on? Stony, love cheesesteaks. Absolutely, man. Can't disagree. Michael says Mets talk with Hayden is greater than every SNY member. I agree with you on that. Connor says you think is a good option for the Mets sign Brandon Drury. I think it could be a good option for them. I do. We need to stay away from Profar. I'm so on Profar. I mean, I'd rather them sign Brandon Drury. Can the Mets ride Vogelbach as the DH in 2023? Yeah, no, you cannot. Yeah, no, certainly you just simply cannot just roll with just the one. Yeah, you're gonna need to sign a lot more. I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but yeah. Yeah, go for it, man. Tiger says Alex says upset the Tigers aren't doing anything. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of surprised that the Tigers are not really making the moves that they are. I really would have thought that they would have made more moves. This is a team that, like I said, you signed Baez last year. They spent a little bit of dough, made a couple trades, Austin Meadows, whoever. Obviously, Tigers have a nice young core. Like I said, the pitching, they have a young pitching staff. Young guys like Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson. But I'm surprised they didn't want to go after a guy like, Wilson Contreras, or maybe they can go after like a Mike Zunino or someone. Really surprised they don't want to go after those 2 guys. Catcher was definitely a move they needed to. There were talks of like Correa to the Tigers. You put him at 3rd, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't really get any of the big free agents. They still could get Jurickson Profar or Michael Conforto, or definitely make a trade. But yeah, definitely upsetting for a Tigers fan, and considering that AL Central is kind of up for grabs. That second, that second place spot, and even the first place. I mean, a big part you could say the Guardians are a good team. Maybe their numbers were a little bit inflated because of how weak their division was, but I think the Guardians are a great team. I still think they are the #1 team in that division. White Sox, we'll see if they stay healthy. They could be the #1 team. So I think it's really kind of Guardians, White Sox is going to be that first place team, but the Royals are certainly not getting any better. And Twins are going to be an interesting spot. I have no idea what the Twins are doing. Buxton can stay healthy. We'll see. And then it comes to the Tigers. So, I mean, it's really up for grabs. It really is. Connor, what's going on? He says the Mets are in an interesting mix. With speed, they could be like the old Kansas City Royals, keep the chain moving, yet splash of power, and that clears the bases in a hurry. So Hayden makes a good point. Do they need to improve the lineup? Do they need much to improve, or do they need to improve much, or how much? That's a good point, Connor. And I think when it comes to it, I think the Mets absolutely could use a little improvement. I think offensively, you need to hit a bat. I get it. You won 101 games last year. Great. With pretty much the same lineup that they have right now. I mean, you still have the catcher position, which we'll see how things go there. The catcher position offensively has not really done much the last 2 years. You brought in Omar Narvaez, great defensive player, not really going to provide much offensively. So with the catcher position right now, I mean, you have Narvaez, McCann, Nito. That's that. If they have Alvarez at the catcher position and he produces big offensively, great. First base, you have Alonso. Second base, you have McNeil. Shortstop, Lindor. Third base, Escobar. Outfield, left field, Canna, center field, Nimmo, and right field, Marte. So it's pretty much a similar lineup. DH, you have guys like Vogelbach. I mean, we'll still see guys like Beatty, Vientos, Alvarez definitely popping around if they make their debut. We'll see. If they start off in AAA, get called up, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, right now you pretty much have an identical lineup. And you won 101 games, great. But when it came to the playoffs, it's where you got destroyed. In the, that last series against the Braves, you needed some power. You needed, some more mixes. Unless Brandon Nimmo is going to, start stealing more, Marte continues to do what he does. Alonso hits some homers. McNeil is a great, great. McNeil's a great contact guy. I don't need to go over this Mets lineup and how great they are, but you need more. I do think you need at least one guy that could spark something. I get it. You could get more from, as I like to call them, the young big three in Alvarez, Beatty, and Vientos. You could get something from them. Are they going to be this rookie of the year candidates? We'll see. Hey, I would love to see Alvarez hit 50-something home runs and be rookie of the year, and Beatty and Vientos provide some great stuff, like we've seen with the Braves and like we've seen with the Dodgers. That's a possibility. But you just can't book on them. You can't. And you have to book on someone that has the experience, whether that's a Drury, whether that's whoever. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how things go there. Kobe says, I guess, but honestly, Connor, to answer your question, I think this is a good team. I think they're definitely a 95 to 105 win team, but you need more if you want to get farther in the playoffs. And, you need one or two more big pieces. Kobe says Mets starting rotation is much better than last year's, in my opinion. Yeah, we briefly went over that, and I do agree with you. I think it is much better. I see we got 20 people in the chat. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you have any comments, any questions, any concerns, definitely drop them below. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Yeah, 20 people. Absolutely love it. Let's get to 30. I like that. Also, let's get to 700 subs. I like that too. Trey says, Jurickson, Profar, and Brandon Drury both fill a lot of holes in case of injuries and gives a lot of power. I'd look to trade Vogelbach, Ruff, McCann, and Vientos. And if they want Carrasco, but I kind of like him at the 5th starter. And I just go with the 6-arm rotation and have McGill and Peterson duel it out in spring training and see who gets it. So let's dissect this bit by bit. It just got really dark in here. So Profar and Drury, okay, great. You got them. Drury can provide a little bit of power, versatility, platoon DH, great. Maybe you trade a guy like, it really just depends. What would you get for giving up Vogelbach, Ruff, McCann, Vientos, and potentially Carrasco? It's what are you going to get? Obviously, you get a pretty solid offensive contributor. I'm not really big on a 6-arm rotation. I get it. You have 2 old veterans in Verlander and Scherzer, and, arm fatigueness. Could that be a thing? Sure. I'd rather them just focus on that coming July and August and September. If it really becomes a concern. You have the depth. Like I said, you have, 6, 7, 8, 9. Practically have 2 rotations. You really do. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Pollock too. I'm not really too keen on Pollock necessarily. Decent bench guy maybe, but I don't know. Lane says, can the Mets sign Josh Hader? Josh Hader's in San Diego, right? I completely forgot he was in San Diego. Josh Hader, how about that? Got traded and just was garbage in San Diego last year. In 19 games played in San Diego, 13 runs, 22 strikeouts, win-loss record 1-1, 7 saves, a whip of 1.63, and an ERA of 7.31. So, those numbers are definitely not those numbers are no bueno. Not too good. So we'll see. I don't really think the Padres would give him up necessarily. So I think you're kind of in that situation. But not going to lie. Looking at the Padres roster, they are stacked. Just thinking about the Padres. But Lane, to answer your question, I don't think they'd get Hader. And, considering you have Diaz as your reliever, or not necessarily as a reliever, but considering that you have Edwin Diaz in that closer role, we know how things were in the past, with potentially Brad Hand coming to the Mets and, him wanting to be the reliever or the closer. And then when they did get Brad Hand, it didn't matter. I don't really think that's the case for any relievers nowadays. I think it's going to come to where they're going to pitch where they're asked to. But I think considering the year Diaz had, I get it. I've said, relievers are streaky. They're, year-to-year guys you focus on. But considering Edwin Diaz coming off the year he has, Edwin Diaz is clearly the closer. Although, like I said, it's always good to have a backup, Obviously, you don't want Diaz going out there, 4 days in a row. We know how the analytics are with that. But yeah, looking at this Padres lineup, catcher Austin Nola, more of an alternate. So, will they bring back Alfaro, Jorge Alfaro? We'll see. So they, look at something. I mean, could they go with their prospect, Luis Campusano? We'll see. So Padres maybe just could do a little work at the catcher position, but Austin Nola is a pretty solid guy. I mean, this is going to be an infield of, I mean, probably first base. You'd put Jake Cronenworth, second base, Ha-Seong Kim, shortstop, Alexander Bogaerts, third base, Manny Machado, an outfield of Azucar, Grisham, and Soto. Not horrible. And this is without Tatis. So, I mean, obviously, maybe once Tatis comes back, you put him in the outfield. So maybe left field, center field. I mean, we saw it was a little bit of a disaster, so I don't know how that'll work for them. But Padres are a pretty good team, pretty stacked. And Padres are blessed with the farm system they have. So that's going to be interesting for them down the line. Cal says, does the Mets signing Omar Narvaez mean that James McCann is running short on time? That's an interesting question, and I honestly kind of question the same thing to myself. Right now, I don't anticipate the Mets riding with four catchers on the roster. Obviously, McCann, Nido, Narvaez, and most likely Alvarez. Even if you do start off Alvarez in AAA, I don't think they'd even ride out a 3-man catcher on the roster. Could you potentially send one of those guys down to AAA? That'd be silly. Obviously, the Narvaez deal was to a major league deal. I actually thought it was a minor league deal when I first read it, but it is a major league deal, which I guess makes the most sense. Yeah, I guess it does. I mean, being completely honest, I would not be surprised if the Mets kind of shuffle McCann into a trade as, kind of like the, minor piece, as I hate to say it, in terms of the trade. I would not be surprised. I think it would make the most sense because right now it kind of suck to see Alvarez spend a lot of the time in AAA this season when he realistically could be on the roster. Could they use him as a DH more so? Sure, why not? But could they definitely want to have him as the catcher? Absolutely. You want to keep him catching. That's the one thing. And if he's not going to be catching at all, then you just send him down to AAA where he can get the reps. And defensively, he's great defensively, but I think there's always room to improve. Stoney says, no, I'm saying other teams can get Pollock, not us. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Pollock will definitely sign with the team. He's 35 years old. I mean, he's coming off of really two past seasons. He hasn't really been himself. MLB News and Rumors, what's going on, bro? He says, do you think the Mets can swing a trade for a big guy like Rafael Devers? Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think they can go after a guy like Devers. I mean, that would be a pretty big splash. I just think it's going to come down to the Mets willing to give up the guys. I mean, you are going to clear your farm system for a guy like Rafael Devers. Taking a look, obviously, I don't need to go into Rafael Devers much. We know he's a great defensive player. What he offers, I mean, he's a guy who is going to give you 800, an 850 to 900 OPS. He's going to give you a high average, a fair OBP, give you 25, 30 home runs, 80 to 100 RBIs. Nice lefty bat. He offers that. However, bringing in him obviously, he probably would block Beatty. And that's, I guess, if you're a farm system nut like me, I guess that would be unfortunate. Obviously, you have Escobar for another year. But right now, Rafael Devers is set to hit the market next year for free agency. So if anything, I'd rather the Mets go after him then. I'd rather the Mets, obviously, if you lose him, oh well. But I'd rather the Mets go after Devers next year when he hits the free agent market. That way, Eduardo Escobar is pretty much gone because Escobar, this is his last year in 2023. And then you don't have to give up the prospects if you get Devers in free agency. Unless they give him a qualifying offer, then you lose a pick, which, oh, boo-hoo, that's much better than losing, 4 or 5 guys in the farm system. So being completely honest, I'm probably one of the few people that are kind of so-so about it. I wouldn't be against it, but I'd rather them go after him next year. Lane says, do you think the Mets will trade James McCann and Tomas Nido to the Yankees? I don't know who Yankees catcher is who nowadays. Yankees catcher, it wasn't Austin Hedges. It was Jose Trevino and Kyle Higashioka. Yeah, Trevino's a pretty good defensive catcher, honestly, so I think they're probably going to stick with him. Decent offensively. Probably not. How do you feel about the Yankees signing Rodon? Yeah, definitely needed. Their rotation is definitely much more stacked than what it used to be. So I think that was a pretty good signing for them. I definitely think they needed a nice little lefty. Yeah, nice signing for them. In terms of the years, a little bit kind of shocked. It was, what, 6 years? Maybe would have thought 4, but honestly, hey, good for them. They need it. Definitely needed a nice lefty presence. So that was their remedy for it. So good for the Yankees. They definitely needed that. Matthew says outfield free agents that could add a spark in the roster if Cohen and Epler can reel anyone in. Should be all of them. In should could include, if Cohen and Epler can reel any one of them in, should include Duvall, Pollock, Grossman, LeCastro, Dickerson, and Engel. Yeah, I mean, all those guys could be sneaky. I mean, we saw Duvall, saw Grossman, saw they were with the Braves. LeCastro, I mean, all those guys are realistically, in my opinion, probably bench bats. I mean, LeCastro at least, probably Engel at least. I'd have any of those guys. I mean, I could see LeCastro as a nice little bench guy, pitch hit substitution guy. Be decent. MLB News and Rumors says, next season, do you think the Mets will go all in for Ohtani? That's a story for another day, but I hope so. We will see. So probably going to call it a stream here. We are a little bit over the hour mark, so I definitely do appreciate everyone for tuning into today's stream. As always, it has been phenomenal. Definitely, like I said, appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream. As always, it's been phenomenal. Great viewership. So definitely do appreciate everyone for chiming in to today's stream. As always, it's always grand coming on here. As always, in today's stream, we did go over pretty much all of your guys' comments, questions, concerns, anything related to the Mets, MLB, free agency, ML, everything pretty much. Obviously, a little bit of the Mets farm system, the 2022 Mets, the future 2023 Mets, comparing, rotations, all of that great stuff. So yeah, obviously I appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream. As always, it's been great. It's been dandy. I love it. Please, everyone, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel, as all that great stuff. Subscribe. Let's get to 700 subscribers. That is the goal at the end of the day. And yeah, otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning in to the stream. As always, it has been phenomenal. If you are rewatching this on replay, kudos to you for staying for the hour and 3 minutes. Definitely always appreciate you guys for the nonstop support. Channel's been great. Free agency, it has been definitely here. It's been present. Definitely picked up much quicker than I anticipated. The fact, like I said, a lot of the big free agents are already gone. So that's pretty mind-boggling to think about. But yeah, otherwise, that's all I got. LFGM, like I said, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, all that great stuff. LFGM, till next time, baseball fans. See ya.